Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic of
the
Denver.
stage. All right, we are back, folks. We just took a quick little break. You know, sometimes these things happen. But we're back. We're live. Now the Pixels are cooperating with us. So we were just having some laughs, you know, about how if you're going to build a business in Denton, you got to make it a venue.
Has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. But before that, we were talking about the process of how you started playing the guitar. So you were 11 years old, kind of a social outcast, and then thought, hey, maybe I can make more friends if I do this.
All right, so set the scene. It's
Yeah.
Christmas morning. I'm 11. I snuck out of my room at 4 a.m. to see if I got the guitar I wanted, and it was acoustic, but no big deal. That can be easily fixed.
Yeah.
So my mom bought me just like a starter acoustic to make sure I'd stick with it because
Yeah.
no kid ever does.
Yep.
And I did. I was learning songs right off the bat. I actually, I really admired my cousin Justin. He plays in Macchio. Does he do anything else right now or just Macchio?
He's working on his solo project right now.
Okay, so he's doing some solo stuff too. But I had always admired him, and he had played guitar a lot when I was younger, and I'd seen him. So first thing, I get it, and I go up to him and I said, hey, how do I do this? And so he teaches me the basics, just how to like fret the notes, how to read tabs. And immediately I was just like off and running with it. I was friends with Sean, our bassist, who isn't with us right now. And he picked up bass almost immediately after I started playing.
Okay.
And so we've been playing together since we were like 11 or 12.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It really is. We read each other really well. We play with each other really well. And we've just been writing for like 14 years at this point.
So what did the songs, because I wrote some songs when I was like 14, 15 with my buddies. They were awful. I can't say, I can't even like tell them.
I bet they were.
We had one that was called Sunshine Lover. It was pretty tight. But like, what was your first songwriting material about?
Ooh,
'Cause
okay.
Yeah.
So-
What was it?
The name of the song was LFGCBATC. I'm
What?
I'm not gonna elaborate on the acronym.
LFGTBCS.
Yeah, thanks to the waiver that I signed right beforehand. But we also had a hit called Nyuktha.
Okay.
Or
a hit?
Yeah.
Like it was big time.
Oh yeah, we played it at the 6th grade talent show. It went over
Nice.
really well.
Man, that's
it
what's
was
up.
yeah. It was a phonetic sounding out of the song that our friend's boxer made when he was really excited, just like sticking out his tongue. And then we wrote another one named after his cat called Mr. Wilson.
That's what's up. Very cool. So you start playing in the 6th grade, you know, and you said you started off with an acoustic. When did you get an electric?
My birthday that year, so
Okay, parents saw that you were playing.
that was within 4 months. I was born in
Yeah.
April.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Nice. That's what's up, man. So Hagen, like, it always seems like the guitar is a little bit more accepted by parents than the drums. So how did you go about getting a drum set like in the household?
There was a drum set at the school that I went to, which my mom also taught at. She still teaches there. And the school was like, "You want this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" It wasn't a bad kit. I still use pieces of it every once in a while. But my mom was super supportive about it. She wanted the band to come rehearse at the house. She loved hearing the rehearsals. She wanted me to practice it.
Yeah.
And I tell all of my drum students and all their parents, like, I understand that it's loud. So, like, to use a practice pad, get electric kits. I had a very lucky situation where my mom
Yeah.
encouraged me to be loud, which is probably why I hit so hard and now have a wrist problem. But but yeah, I mean, it was no problem for me at home to play drums. It was basically just you have to stop by 10. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we had, I forget who we had on here who was like, I wanted to play the drums, but my parents just handed me a guitar. They're like, here you go, you got to play this instead. It's too loud, you know. And now they're like a great guitarist, you know. So
Yeah.
they're like it's you know, they're like it's not so bad, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always like my parents didn't say like you can't play drums. They just never got me them.
yeah,
You know, I was like, I want to play drums. And they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Why don't you go outside for a little bit or something, you know? So yeah, I've always been curious as to how, you know, how that all starts. So you're writing music, you know, you and your buddy are playing, you know, we've got the 6th grade talent show. How did things, and like you said, you've been playing with the same person for, maybe 13, 14 years at this point. I don't know how old you are, so I'm just taking guesses.
25.
Okay, hey, that wasn't bad. All right,
Yeah,
that was
that's
right
good.
around there.
That was good.
So you're playing with somebody. Was he always kind of in the band with you, and were there like different projects, or did you guys just kind of bounce around, and then you like weren't friends in 9th grade for some reason because he was dating a girl you liked or something, and then you came back friends again
close,
in the 10th grade? I have
no.
similar experiences. Like, I don't like you for like 3 months. All right, we're cool again.
Yeah, pretty much from day one, we were like, we want to learn to play instruments so we can start a band. So we always had that goal in mind. And so I was like, you know what? I have a lot of feelings. I can write them down. I can be our songwriter. I'll work on that. You just learn to play bass. Your older brother, he's been playing for like 10 years at this point. So get him to teach you how to play, and I'll take care of the songwriting.
Nice. Very cool. So what was, for somebody, when you are 12, 13, 14, and you're writing songs, what kind of music were you listening to at that time to inspire like your songwriting?
100% of the time, it's Linkin Park.
Okay. Are you serious?
No.
Okay. I was like,
yeah, for every 12-year-old songwriter out there, it's always Linkin Park.
Yep. Yeah.
For me, it did happen to be Linkin Park.
There was some in there for sure.
I've rejected that side of me since then, but I came into middle school. All I have is what I hear on the radio.
Pretty much, yep.
We didn't have we only had dial-up internet at that point. YouTube was just around the corner.
Yep.
So everything I had was either in my CD case, in my sister's CD case, or on the radio.
Yeah, for sure, man. And so, growing up, you kind of have that like, yeah, Green Day's the greatest band of all time. And then The Offspring came out. That's what it was like for me. I just heard what my brother was listening to. And I was like, oh, okay, well this is what's cool. And then I remember the first CD I ever got was my brother gave me The Offspring Americana, which had like the, like that song on it, and all those other classics, So as y'all continued to write music and your sound started to, did your sound start to change as you matured just as a person?
Absolutely. I've gone through phases where I've consciously tried to change it. Because I started with guitar playing and I learned to sing much later on. My guitar style has sort of been the primary influence, and I guess the tonality of my songs, the construction and delivery in general. So starting out, I was just obsessed with all the virtuosos you can find. You want to be a guitar virtuoso and solo at every point. As I got older, I tried to simplify it and tone it down a bit. And I feel like I found a bit of a balance. I try not to throw in a 3-minute guitar solo at the end of every song. That's something we do struggle with.
I think the thing about it is we have those things that are quote unquote 3-minute guitar solos, but they're super duper musical and involved with the whole band.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is doing a guitar solo, but it's a very well written out guitar solo that's the same every time basically. And the band is just backing it really, really well. So it doesn't just feel like it's a 3-minute jam where he's soloing. It's it feels like it's still part of the song.
I try to make it really vocal, almost as if my guitar is just doing a counterpoint or repeating motifs that I've thrown in there melodically.
I don't want, if this does upset you at all, the comparison I'm going to give, I apologize, but I felt like it was a combination of The Fall of Troy meets Weezer. As strange as that sounds,
I'm leaving.
But kind of what you were saying, it was so because when you're playing, the guitar playing is technical, but it's not over. That's what I meant. I was like, well, I don't feel like you're going overboard with 3-minute solos or anything like that, because I can see the movement happening, but it works, Maybe the voice fills the space, or the rest of the band around you is maybe helping to fill those notes, or maybe certain gaps that could be left due to the fact that you're maybe playing a solo at times. But I don't feel like it ever lacked, or I was like, oh, this is a really long solo. I was like, no, this is just jam. This is just 3 guys who write very good music together and are just having a good time right now.
Yeah.
So I never get upset about the 3-minute long afters as long as it's good.
Right.
If you're like, okay, this isn't good. Let's get to the next song. All right. So you've been playing with, another person for 14 years at this point, 13 years. How did Hagen come into the picture? When did y'all start to meet and mingle?
So Hagen, I met him through some mutual friends my senior of high school. We weren't super close at the time. We just sort of met in passing.
I
knew
always
he-
hated him. I've always hated
Always
him.
100%.
That's actually true. When I met him, I hated him. I
Yeah.
hated him so much because he was dating a girl I wanted to date. That's
Yeah,
a serious callback
see?
to what you said. Serious.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about high school.
We had met in passing. I went off to college my freshman year. Sean and I went to different colleges, and so we spent that year apart. And both of our lives just sort of simultaneously fell apart. and we were super depressed. I came back, and I'm like, okay, so that was not for me. Let's figure out what we can do. Let's get creative again. And Hagen pulled me in and was like, hey, I live in Denton, moved to Denton. I want to make music. We can make music together. You can like try school again, and we can keep going. So
I feel like that could be UNT's slogan. Try school again. It was for me, anyways.
Yeah, we'd already done some gigging a little bit too before. I guess it was like maybe it was before you guys left or like whenever you guys would come home. There was like we did a couple of, I can't remember where they were exactly, but I know we did a couple of gigs in between before you moved to Denton.
there was one at that the house party show.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have a house party show.
Oh, we have too
This was
many.
our first one.
Yeah,
We
nice.
have too
What was
many.
the first experience like? Was it like a living room with like a sofa and some dirty laundry in the
No,
corner?
it was like
I built the stage.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like our buddies. I can't remember what the party was, but it was our buddies' maybe graduation party. But he lived in like a nice neighborhood in Dallas, so we were just in a backyard and then like a nice afternoon evening with a stage he built. It was good.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Did you get any complaints? Any sound complaints? Yeah.
No, we had warned all the neighbors ahead of time. They're like, "Oh, that's so neat! Children playing music. We'll come over and see it."
Good old American rock band. You know, this is what the USA's needed.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Okay, so you play. So, for you, what is the songwriting process like for you? How do you everybody has different things that kind of inspire them to sit down and write or motivate them. What is that for you?
First of all, the drive to write a song has to be there. I have to really want to fill that blank space with a song, and then after that, I go for the melody.
Okay.
And so I'll get like little melodies stuck in my head on the drive to work. Maybe I'll wake up in the middle of a dream and I have written a song in that dream. I'm like, there's this repeating thing that I need to get out of my head, and write this down or record it in my phone, make a voice memo, anything to keep those melodies so I don't forget them, because I will over the course of a day. And then I come back to those. I find which ones really still like fit with me, or which ones I really still enjoy listening to. And then I will begin actually crafting the song. I find like a chord structure, guitar part that fits around that melody, and then I start working the guitar in with that melody. And then the whole band situation comes afterwards. And then last, lyrics.
Wow. It really is like a puzzle for you, man. You know, and that's kind of how I feel about the music in the first place, is it's sometimes I'll listen to something, I'm like, how did anyone write this? Because there's so many parts that seem to be so well thought out where, okay, another ridiculous example, but like if you listen to Uptown Funk with, Bruno Mars and Mark Ronson, that song is so perfect on every level, and there's so many tiny details from like echoes on the voice, or just like the fact that they chose to go like wah in that one part, where I'm like, how did anybody write this song? Like there's so much technicality going on, and that's why I was saying, like when I'm watching y'all play, I can be entertained by each person in the band, because each person is doing something where if I saw it alone, I would still think it was cool. I'd be like, that's still very well done. Oh, that's a rhythm. But then you put it all together, it's like this equation. Kind of like that's how I feel like your songwriting process is. It's this equation, and you put the pieces in the right spots, and then boom, you have a track all of a sudden. So it just seems daunting to me, to write something like that.
It is, but I'm the type of person, I love puzzles, I love building things, and so working out a song in the same way, just piece by piece construction, and sort of breaking it down to the elements and seeing what fits together and what doesn't. Even in our like group writing sessions, we've been writing the same song for about 2 months at this point.
Okay.
And we've just been agonizing over like one part in like a bass section, or just how the drums should behave in a certain build-up, and then finding the right time signature for that build-up. Should we shorten or lengthen certain passages. Just the entire effort is exhausting and daunting, but it's so rewarding.
I see. That's awesome, man. So, Hagen, my question for you is, because I've seen you play with all three of the bands now. This is once again an opinion. I feel as though you do some of your most technical drumming when you're playing with these guys right here.
I agree.
And so do you feel like that comes out based kind of on the songwriting, or is it like, Andy's making demands like, I want this kind of, like, is it just a natural flow? Is it more of a, like, you have to build it in a way?
I think that, ever since I started playing with Andy, it was always a challenge because when I started playing in rock bands, I was playing in like rock and metal bands. Those are the first bands I was in. And so when I started playing with Andy, I was like, oh, this is 100% different. I don't need a double bass pedal for this.
Yeah.
Get it out of here. And so it became a thing of really challenging myself. And every time we've written a song, it's always been about the song, but also because Andy writes really complex stuff and because he puts a lot of thought into what he's doing, I feel that the drums deserve the same amount of attention. And sometimes that means playing like very little. Sometimes that means the attention I give to the drums in this moment is not playing or playing a really simple groove. Or sometimes it means like, let's really, really nail this part out and make sure that it's like precise and cool, but not like too showy. I don't like, I love showy drummers, but in this case, it's about Andy's song.
Yeah.
This is 100% about Andy's song, so I do want to do something cool maybe in a moment, but I don't want to take away at all from what the song is trying to say.
Yeah.
And I can like yell my little thing and for like a second, but then it has to go right back to what the song is about.
For sure. Yeah, I can understand that. And when I watched y'all play, something that I've always liked that you do really well, man, is the hi-hat game. Just your play on the hi-hats, man. You can ask Joe James. I love hi-hats. As somebody who enjoys beats, and like the hi-hats can really change the flow of how a beat feels, accenting in certain parts. Like I had no idea until I sat down and talked to more drummers about how much you can really do with a hi-hat to make your song sound this way or this way. But another thing that I saw you do that I was like, some of the technical stuff was on the cymbals. Which was like, okay, I've got this cymbal which has those hollow points in it, so I'm going to use this one here and then this one here. And what I've always admired about being able to play the cymbals was that even though some people kind of like, even the guy in the symphony who's doing this, people don't realize how important that is. Like if you get rid of that in a song, you're going to lose a lot. So the way that you match those cymbal tones with the tones that are coming from the other instruments, it's impressive work, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the symbols that I chose for that group are very specific. It's for a reason, and I wanted to have like something that I've always liked about playing with Andy is that we definitely do we do rock music, we do indie rock music, but there's always been other elements in there. Like there is for sure like elements of like jazz and neo soul and R&B that we throw in there on some songs, depending on what we're obsessed with at the time, especially. But it's one of those things where it's like if I'm listening to this music that has this auxiliary hi-hat that are both tiny little splashes, then I want to do that because that will work for the sound. Or even if it's like not necessarily the same kind of music, but it's a little bit like it, I could just throw a little bit in there to just help a little bit with the sound. But I mean, cymbals are my favorite thing. They're my babies.
Any cymbal can be a hat if you stack it right.
That's right. Stacks are my favorite.
Okay, so is a stack like where you'll see a cymbal and then something's on top of that, or
sure, that's one kind of a stack.
It's like
so
flipped over.
Yeah, basically like a stack is literally just stacking cymbals, but you want to find the right kind of stack. So it's a lot of just trial and error. Sometimes like let me see if this sounds good with this, and then you'll try it and it sounds terrible. But like one of my favorite stacks I have is a 16-inch china on the bottom, like a hi-hat, and then you put like the crash with the holes, the trash crash on top of that, and then you just keep them tight together, and then bam.
It's like it kind of gives it a little bit looser feel on the hi-hat with that sound. You have a little bit of some clinks and clanks coming through.
Yeah, and what you have is since it's like always closed but not tight closed, you get a lot of like openness, but at the same time you're like the sustain is non-existent because you're using, in this case I'm using like drier cymbals, so the sustain doesn't really last that long. But it's cool because it's basically an accent symbol. I won't use it too much in grooves. I use it sometimes in grooves, but it's a really good accent symbol.
Nice, very cool. So Andy, do you use any type of pedals or anything when you're performing?
I try to keep my pedal board as simple as possible. When I was younger, I had a much bigger pedal board. Luckily, that was all stolen. I don't worry about that anymore.
Oh, okay. You didn't steal all the pedal board stuff. The pedal board was stolen.
The pedal board was stolen from me. Yeah,
I had this big pedal board. It was all stolen. I didn't worry about it. Like, I'm sorry, man.
No, it's fine.
brutal.
I said my goodbyes to that a long time ago, and I thought, this is a transition I'm making. It was right around the time we started playing together. I wanted to get into simpler, just me and the amp. I've expanded on that a little bit. Right now, I just have like a compressor, a Pog, and an Ibanez tube screamer.
Okay.
And so a Pog is not a very minimalistic pedal, but it's like the one piece of flavor I have in there. The rest is just
What
me.
does the Pog do?
So POG stands for Polyphonic Octave Generator.
Okay.
And it's the second one.
The two.
So it can layer on different octaves of what I'm playing. So it has
Oh, that's sweet.
2 sub-octaves, 1 sub-octave, the unison, 1 octave up, 2 octaves up.
So does it loop what you're playing? Like, so let's say you play one thing and you hit the pedal. Does it loop that, and then you can change or does it just change the octave of the guitar? Or
It adds octaves based on what you're playing in real time.
Okay.
There is a pedal that does exactly what you're saying.
That's what's up. Okay.
But,
so you can stack the octaves? I'm sorry if I'm sounding...
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And it
so
creates
that can
like
give you that
organ,
bigger sound.
Yeah, it gives you like an organ synthesizer, a really thick tone, or it can be like kind of shrill and piercing.
I enjoy me some effects. I'm an Ableton guy, and so I
yeah.
just love throwing things in there and seeing what can happen with a sound. You know,
it definitely is like a great thing to have him with the Pog. That was like when he bought the Pog, it made such a big difference in the band sound as a whole, because we are just a 3-piece.
Yeah.
And 3-pieces can have a lot of sound, but if you add just a little bit more with some kind of effect, the whole thing sounds like it's like more than a 4-piece, more than a 5-piece. Like you have so many people on stage, but it's only just 3.
That's awesome. Now, with a compressor as a pedal, because like when I think about a compressor in my world, most of the time it's used to either make things louder or you sidechain it. So you use the compressor so that every time the kick hits, it brings whatever is sidechained to it down underneath it. What does the compressor do as far as being on the pedal board?
I have 2 uses for it at the moment. One is a clean boost if I'm going into a solo section in some songs and I just need that extra push over the top. I just engage it, turn down, I think it's like the threshold or something, and just let it kick in and keep that sustain going and push the volumes up without actually like squashing much.
Okay.
And then I'll actually use the compression part in some other songs. And that's for songs where like I have really technical things that I need to do, and I need all the light touches to be in there and pulled up without like really sharp peaks. And so I'll actually throw that in there. So like in Tyra Banksy, that's the one where I'm just like going all over the place while I'm singing, and I need that compressor to be doing some heavy lifting because I've got more to worry about than like how hard I'm picking each individual note.
Okay, yeah, so you really need it to bring out those little tiny parts like you were saying.
Exactly, and then let the muscle memory just carry me through the rest of it.
Very cool. That's awesome, man. I like how you say that muscle memory too, because guitar, drums, so much, and that's kind of what I get back to, like, is in drums, you're doing so many different rhythms with different appendages, and then like you were singing and playing at the same time. 2 things that I could never do. I tell you, I worked at Kroger for a couple years in high school, and I would be at the self-checkout, and I would have some pens, and I would sit there and I would just drum. And I remember I would sit there and try to do this while doing a different rhythm with my foot. Like you would play, and I could not ever. I could never get myself to do it. So, how, like you say, muscle memory, how do you train yourself to do that? I mean,
practice.
And how do you know when you finally got it, though? Like, you just sitting there one day and all of a sudden your foot, you're just like, it's working totally.
Yeah, I mean, like to take it all the way back to what you're trying to do, so really hone in what that is, and then slow it down. Play to a metronome, right? That's a really big one. But slow it down, and keep doing it. And I think the big thing for me that helped me was I basically, like, the year after I started playing drums, I was in a band. And so you really realize how much you suck when you play with a band.
Oh yeah.
Because you start to like even if everyone else in the band sucks also, then like the drum sucking sticks out so much. It's just such a bad thing to have like a terrible drummer in a band, and so you realize like, oh, I can do this on my own, and then you go sit and with the band for rehearsal, you get on stage and try to do that thing, and it's bad. Like, okay, cool, I gotta go home and practice. But when you do it within the band setting, also, it for me at least, it gives me a reference point, and not just I'm going. I have like a song in which I can imagine. I can imagine the guitar. I can imagine the vocals, and that gives me a reference point to the drums. That helps me write drum parts a lot in general. Is just having a song to work with. So, like whenever I'm trying to remember a drum part, I won't try to think about necessarily exactly how the drums go. I'll try to think about the guitar part or the bass part, or whatever sticks in my head, and then that is what comes out.
Nice. Very cool. So, Andy, if you had to give some, like, some tips, let's say 13-year-old me comes walking up, Andy, I'm trying to play and write. What would be, I guess, like, what are some of the, what's the word that I'm looking for? I guess just like techniques and practices, things you can do to get yourself in that mindset.
Well, what Hagen said, slowing down, practicing to a metronome, and just working your way up. The speed will come. You want to focus on nailing the part first. And if that means playing it at like 60 beats per minute, like just do it there and make sure you have it down there before you increase the speed. Hagen's actually given me a lot of tips. He's the educator here. And so like I'll practice with a metronome.
Comes from a line of teachers.
Oh, yeah. I'll have the
Hi,
metronome
Mom.
like...
Oh, what's up, Mom? All right.
I'll have the metronome skip like every other bar or something just to try and train myself to keep in that tempo. And then once you have the tempo down, that's when you can start going like wilder with the stuff you write, because then you just instinctively know how to play within that frame. And a lot of the technique will come to you.
Very cool. So sometimes when I'll see certain people play, it'll be something technical and they'll be singing it at the same time, and unfortunately they kind of have like this face going on where they're kind of looking and trying to sing at the same, like out the side of their mouth.
Guilty.
No. Andy's not guilty of that. Andy has this like power pose where he'll put the guitar up like this, and he's like the mic is here, so he looks like he's like super like awesome rock star, but he's just staring at the guitar, and the mic can be right here, but it's a great power pose.
I was gonna bring it up. I was gonna say you have a very interesting stance, man. That is very your own, and like I feel like you're just well structured when you're up there. Like a fine gust of wind could come by and you'd be set. You just be like, nope, not going anywhere. Put a sail on this guy. He's going nowhere. He's not flying away.
Well, that's part of like performing live, is you need to be very comfortable and okay with yourself when you're on stage.
For sure.
Because there's a lot of physical activity, be it like walking around and engaging with your band or with the audience, or even down to like the pedal presses.
Yeah.
If you're off center, you're going to miss that pedal press, and maybe someone in the audience might not be super attuned to that miss, but it'll throw you off in that song, and you'll be sweating it the whole time, and it'll really knock you off balance.
Yeah,
so.
I know what you mean. It's funny how those little things, where you get them right, the little things, and you're like, and it makes the whole set nice. These little tiny things that you might mess up that you notice and no one else does can put you in this funk, and all of a sudden you're in your head, for the rest of the set. So whenever you guys, like when you're up there and you're playing, is there ever this like kind of like, okay, the song's about to start, energy's way, way up, and then you're kind of in the middle of the track and you're kind of planed out, and then you're in the zone, and then when that song ends, you're kind of like, like do you kind of exhale, or is it just a full-on like all set, and then finally 20, 30, 45 minutes later, you get to breathe?
For me, there is one song in particular that is just like, it's usually our closer. There's one song in particular that we play where like it's just like energy's up here the entire time. There's like no way, like even though it might get softer for a second, it's a super fast and high energy song. So like that, for me, my energy's up here for just that song, but for the rest of the set, it's pretty like,
okay.
It's pretty, for me at least, it's all wavy.
Okay.
I get to stop playing guitar in the middle, so that's my little break in that song. But I agree with that one. That song is particularly rough because it's a lot of like really fast like downstrokes for me, and so my wrist is cramping. It's got a really involved guitar part at the end, And so I have to be like really centered and prepared for that.
Yeah.
So a lot of our practice has been being able to like center yourself and just pull off these songs that are so tough to deal with sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any like pre-practice rituals per se? To get you in the zone. Anybody? You guys put your hands in and 1, 2, 3.
Friendship.
Us. Yeah. Exactly.
No. we don't really talk much before shows.
That's how good friends should be.
a lot of times someone
what's up, man? You want to talk? Nah, let's just play the show.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone will like rush in late and like set up, or like I won't see the Sean for a while before the set, and then I'll see him bring his bass amp, and I'm like, oh hey, what's up? Okay.
That's what's up. Sanford likes to go around and give everybody hugs before we always play.
That's good.
It's just like, oh, hey, hugs. Just like, you smell like patchouli, man. Get out of here. Last night that's what your phone was.
My phone was
too?
Amber Alert.
Yeah, that's the first one on the new iPhone. I was wondering. I was like, maybe we don't get those on these phones or something like that. So, a couple final questions here before we go, fellas. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you.
I might have gone and typed in the wrong name, but I was trying to find some music today to go and give a listen to. Is there anywhere we can find music online?
Yeah, it's all on Spotify. It's all on Bandcamp. It's everywhere.
And how do we say it? Samus or Samus? ASMMUS.
Just one M.
Okay,
just
I
one
have
M.
this 100% wrong.
We say Samus David Jr.
Okay.
With just one M in Samus.
Okay.
And JR and Junior.
Yeah, JR and Junior. Period. But yeah, we're on Spotify, we're on Bandcamp, we're on Apple Music, we're on everything where you want to stream music. It's all there.
Apparently, I don't know how to search. We'll figure that out, man. And do you guys have any shows coming up? Anything?
Yeah, we're playing 2 shows on Saturday.
Doubleheader.
Yeah, we're doing a house show. And then the big one is we're opening for Bubba Hernandez over at Andy's.
Nice.
So definitely come out to that show on Saturday.
What time is the Andy show?
We play at 9. Doors are at 8.
That's a good time.
It is.
I always liked the 9 slot, never 8.
Yeah,
8 wasn't.
8's too early. Everyone's still eating dinner.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Come on, promoters, help us out here. That 9 o'clock starts where it's at.
Yeah.
So. Right on, man. And then, of course, I've asked you this question before, but I'm going to ask it again.
It's fine.
What is your snack of choice right now?
Favorite snack?
Well, what are you going with right now?
Right now? Oh, God. Protein bars.
Nice protein bars.
I used to not like protein bars, but I found one that's a lemon protein bar. It's really good. Yeah, everybody's like, that's disgusting.
I was sitting at one of my first days working at the school. I was sitting in between these 2 kids, like Billy Madison, and this kid was like... are those? He was like, what flavor Oreos are those? And this girl was like, lemon. He was like, gross. Lemon sucks. And it was just such this like awesome like little kid moment where I was like, all right, kids aren't so bad. But good for you, man. You found a lemon protein bar that you like. That's cool. Andy, what about you, man? What do you snack on? If you say bread. Just white bread, I was gonna be very upset.
No. I've been chowing down on the extra hot flamin' Cheetos.
Dude, I told you.
Extra with 2 X's.
The extras, yes.
If you don't break a sweat, you're not snacking.
I'm telling you. I've been telling these kids, man. On the interview I did with them on, what was it? Don't feed the musicians.
Don't feed the artists.
Or don't feed the artists. Yeah, make sure y'all check that out too.
What is this?
Yeah. Your own bandmate doesn't even know about the podcast.
He's also a host in the podcast. He just missed your episode.
My bad.
This interview is over. But yeah, man, I told you I told him, and that is probably the #1 snack is the Cheetos Flamin' Hot. Like I haven't gotten a sponsorship yet, but I feel like if we say the name enough, eventually it's going to reach the right ears. You'd be walking in just going to have a plate of Flamin' Hots here next show.
That's what I have in my apartment.
Yeah.
I ordered like one of the 40, 50 packs off Amazon.
Getting that sale price.
Yeah.
You can catch Andy at Sam's Club on Sundays restocking. I've got a full pallet.
Hey, the Sam's Club in Denton, you can play a set there. It's
no way.
No.
I was like, they're like, we got to have live music. We'll move part of the garden section. We'll put a stage there. It'll be awesome.
Let the underground musician mafia know. That
You might want to put a stage here. I don't know. Think about it, eh? You saw what happened to that Walmart guy. Think it over. Oh, man. Well, guys, it's been fun talking with y'all.
Thank
Hagen,
you.
good to have you in. And Andy, thanks for coming in and talking, man. Once again, y'all, I'm sitting here with Samus Davis Jr. Samus David Jr. Yeah, see, I'm just never going to get it, but I'm going to wake up in the middle of my sleep and I go, Samus David Jr. JR, period. All right. Oh, man. Thanks for coming out, you guys. Y'all stick around. We got more interviews coming up next with Ellie Bell in the Denton Vibe. Y'all take it easy. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.